is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckhashi here with the Man Hour, sort of our manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page, check out the blog section, but most importantly, check out the forums. We have forums that have launched over there last March. We've been kind of tinkering with some stuff there, but we are ready for the masses to come and join us. So head over to manhourradio.com, click on the forums tab, and become a part of the forums session today. You can talk all this shit that you want over there. You don't have to worry about the man banning you, because the man is me, and I got some thick-ass skin, and it's going to take for you a lot to get suspended, muted, or banned from our forums. Let's just be honest. There is no censorship in there whatsoever, so feel free to go ahead and talk whatever you want to talk and have some fun over there at the forums. That is at manhourradio.com or manhour.co. If you guys are new here, first time, join on the live here. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, but of course, share this with a couple friends as well. If you click on the subscribe button for $4.99 a month, you get a become a Skin Pin Pundit. Get some nice little merch like this merch. We got hoodies on the way for the football season, and you get some pre-show, some post-show, a lot of show stuff. Get behind-the-scenes footage in any NFL game that you want to watch. If you are a Bears fan, like my man Matt Henry there, and if you're not in the Chicago area and you want to watch a Bears game, it's like, hey, but can we watch a Bears game? Bada bing, bada boom. I'll stream that for you. You have to be a pigskin pundit. Only pigskin pundits get to pick what they want to watch, and we do that behind the paywall so we can't get suspended. You know, so if you guys don't want to spend the hundreds of dollars on NFL Sunday Ticket for $4.99 a month, bada bing, bada boom, any NFL game you want right here at facebook.com, of course, youtube.com, youtube.com. You got to be a pigskin pundit. But, guys, it is Friday. We've made it through the NFC East week. We have broken down each and every team. We've broken down the Cowboys. We've broken down the Giants, Commanders, and Eagles. And for those of you that have not been tuning in, these are my game picks for the year. I do have the Dallas Cowboys repeating as NFC East champs, sitting at 11-6 this season with a 4-2 record. The Philadelphia Eagles coming in as second, a strong second place with 8-9, 4-2 in their division as well. The Commanders kind of shocked the world a little bit, right? They come out of nowhere, finishing 8-9, 3-3 in the division, and the New York Football Giants are just a bad football team, in my opinion, this season, sitting at 2-15, 1-5 in the division. So before we get too carried away, guys, let me know what you think of these. Are these correct? Are these spot on? Am I way off? Let me know. We actually have a poll going right now in our Facebook group at NFL Talk. And right now, it looks like the people think that the Eagles are actually going to come away with that division. We have about 200 to 300 votes, like over there at last check. And the Eagles are just edging the Dallas Cowboys right now. So basically, people are thinking it is the Cowboys-Eagles division to win right now. And right now, you guys, people, you fans, you Man Hour Nation pundits out there thinking that the Eagles are going to win this division. And honestly, it would not shock me one bit if the Eagles do come out on top, because all week we've talked about a high ceiling and a low floor for the Philadelphia Eagles, and there's some parts in play that could potentially make them a really excellent team. The growth of Cam Jagers, am I saying that right? Their center, the new center that took over from Jason Kelce, his growth this mini camp and offseason and into preseason is going to really determine a lot of what the Philadelphia Eagles can do this season moving forward. Michael Manny is in the chat as well. He says, "Go Giants!" Michael, my man, I think your Giants are going to have a long season, buddy. Unfortunately, I don't anticipate your Giants having a great season. And on this first Burning Question Friday, we've been breaking down AFC East across the board, and I picked out many of the top questions from across the board, and many people are questioning right now is, do the Giants have enough firepower this season to be competitive? Do they have enough power, in the offensive repertoire to compete with the Eagles, to compete with the Cowboys, to compete with the AFC North? My man Nick is in the chat as well. What's up? Good afternoon to you as Nick as well. But so this is the first burning question of the day, guys. I want you guys to play along and I want you to answer. Do the Giants have enough offensive firepower this season to be successful? Obviously, I have them at 2-15 this season. Obviously, I think Brian Daboll is going to get fired on the bye week, which, if I remember correctly, is week 11. I do think Daniel Jones is going to get benched at some point during the season, probably week 11 as well. We are going to see Drew Lock or Tommy DeVito in the last 6-7 games of the season. I think the Giants are just a bad team. But looking at it, they do have some offensive threats, right? Obviously, Malik Neighbors should be a very, very good talent in the NFL. He has yet to play a snap. He has yet to catch a ball. Will to be determined, right? Slayton, not terrible, right? Wan'Dale Robertson, he has spurts of it, right? Allen Robertson II signed as a free agent this offseason from the Rams and then played for the Bears as well. Probably not that good, right? Isaiah McKenzie. Guys, do the Giants have enough firepower? And I gotta say no. Like, Daniel Jones can play at an MVP level all season long. Daniel Jones could probably throw for 3,500 yards. He could, but he probably won't because they don't have enough firepower on the offensive side. The receiver core seems to be decent. They're not a top 15 receiver core in the NFL by any stretch of the imagination, but 2019-18, right around there, seems about right. The biggest downfall for the New York Giants this season is going to be their running game. I don't think Devin Singletary is enough of a workhorse load guy to really make up for the malfunctions of that offensive line. I do know that you guys have told me that the Giants have added some offensive line help. They have improved a little bit, but until I see it on paper, until I see it in the game time film, I have no faith in the Giants. I don't think they have enough firepower. I don't think they have much of really anything to be successful this season. And Michael Manning says it can't be no worse than last season. But it can. No Saquon is tough. I spoke on it, what was it, Tuesday when we broke down the Giants. The loss of Saquon Barkley it's tough. Saquon, 80% of the time when he got the ball inside the tackles, he had somebody in his face. Only 15% of the time he lost yardage when that happened. Devin Singletary is not going to be able to do that. The rest of the running back group, Eric Gray's not going to be able to do that. The kid from Oklahoma, right? Tyron Tasey Jr. isn't going to do that. For the Giants to have any shot at enough firepower this season, they're going to have to find a running back in the rough. Whether it's Delvin Cook off of the street, whether it's Leonard Fournette, I hear he wants to come back into the NFL. They have to find somebody to take that pressure off the passing game and Daniel Jones, and hopefully take pressure off the offensive line as well. So, Michael, to say they can't be worse than last season, they can be. And they probably will be. My man Jim Powell, speaking of pigskin pundits, is in the chat. He says, boo! What are we talking about? We're talking about anything you want today, Jim. Burning NFC East questions. I got 4 of them lined up, but if you guys want to ask the question, feel free to ask any questions that you want to ask about, because this is your Friday soapbox. It says, what up? All Giants 3-4 win team. That's all they are. It's a 3 or 4 win team, says John. I agree. I agree with my fellow pigskin pundit, John as well. Nick S. says, I look for a bounce back from Daniel Jones. Neighbors completes to a young. Okay, so he says Malik Neighbors compares to a young Odell Beckham Jr. And I agree with that 100%. When Odell Beckham Jr. was a rookie, him and Malik Neighbors look like mirror images of each other. Hopefully they do not take the same trajectory in their careers. Because let's just be honest. Odell Beckham Jr. was never a really good receiver. Let me say that for you guys one more time for the people in the back. Odell Beckham Jr. was never a really good receiver. Yes, he did have those 3 or 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He did have the catch. But once he passed that 3rd year, he's been going down. 4th year, I guess. Been going down. Odell Beckham Jr. is a good number 2, number 3 guy. He was never really the guy. He was never a great number 1 receiver, and that's why the Giants struggled when he was there. Malik Neighbors is a number 1 guy. Malik Neighbors has an opportunity to be a top 10, top 5 receiver this season. I think he will probably be the best rookie receiver this season. Just because of the situation that he is in, he's going to get the ball a lot. Rome is over there in Chicago. He's got a lot of competition around him, right? He has DJ Moore. He has DeAndre Swift. He has a lot of other parts around him. He might be one of the quietest rookies, but I think Neighbors does compare to a young Odell Beckham Jr. Hopefully their seasons do not coincide. Matt Henry says Giants and Patriots both have no offensive power. As I agree with this, I think the Giants are a lot worse because of their defense. Yes, they do have some good defensive pieces. They still have Thibodeaux. They still have Dexter Lawrence, right? They did pick up Brian Burns this offseason, but the secondary is not that good. Front 7 might be locked down. Could be a top 10 front 7, but the secondary is bad. The Patriots have a nice complete defense, and they have an offense that isn't going to 100% suck. They are going to have flashes of good play, but I think their bad play is better than the Giants' bad play, if that makes sense. Nick S. says running game is going to hurt. Definitely 100%. I agree with that, Nick. No disagreement from here. And he says Saquon is a generational talent, hard to replicate. And the Giants thought they could replicate that. Basically, I watched the first episode of Hard Knocks Wednesday. Watched the second episode this afternoon. And the Giants pretty much thought that Saquon was going to come crawling back to them, saying, oh, I'll take your $11 million or whatever he was being offered. And I think the Giants are forever going to be cursed by this, by not understanding that Saquon is a generational talent. Nowadays, most running backs or most running games in the NFL have a 2-back system, right? Zeke and Tony Pollard, Cook and whoever else to have in Buffalo Bills. The names are not ringing in my head right now, but most of the systems have a 2-back system. You have your first and second down back, then you have your third down back. There are only used to be 3, now 2 backs in the NFL that could really, that's a quote, every down back. That is CMC and Saquon. When you have a talent like Saquon, it's hard to let that guy walk, especially when he just started to show that maybe he's healthy, maybe he's ready to play and do the ground and pound of a complete system, right? I mean, last year he carried the whole Giants team. It is tough. It is tough. He says, hi from India. What's up? Manish, what's up? John Pebbles says, yes, this is Wack's last season in the Little D. We'll be talking about Dak. Very, very soon here. And 2 is pushing it. As 2 wins for the Giants. Come on, guys. Give him some credit. No. I guess not. Jim says, I jump in Andre Weathers shit a lot. Giants are worse than being from Michigan. Sorry, John. There's two things worse than the Giants right now. One of them is being from Michigan, and the other one is being from Pennsylvania. I'm just kidding. Speaking of John Sinran is in the chat. He says, hi, y'all. John was in our pre-show or our recap earlier today. I meant to play that on Saturday. I played it today. My fault, guys. But good morning or good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to the other John. And Mark D is in the chat as well. He says, what up, Buck? What's up, Mark? Guys, check them out over on the NFL Experts page. And Laura Hedrick is in the chat. Says, hey, what's up, Laura? Hope you're having a grand old day. But question number two. Dak Prescott. As, was it John that said that? Whack. This is whack. It's last year. Dak Prescott. Entering the final year of his contract. Dak Prescott is a free agent after this season and could potentially play on another team, i.e. the Las Vegas Raiders. One of the many questions that have come up in all of our lives this week is this Dak Prescott's last season? Is this Dak Prescott's last season? One more time, is this Dak Prescott's last season? When we look at Dak Prescott, I can arguably say, guys, that he is a top 5 quarterback. I've been saying it for several years now, and the narrative is he is still a top 5 quarterback. No particular order of quarterbacks that are better than him. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, Aaron Rodgers. Those are the only 4 players that are currently better than Dak Prescott. Jalen Hurts is probably knocking on his door a little bit. Lamar Jackson starting to creep his way up there, right? Tua, if he continues to stay healthy and continue to put up the numbers that he has, will continue to push up there. Brock Purdy potentially could be pushing up there, but Dak Prescott is a top 5 quarterback. So to ask the question, is this the final year of Dak Prescott's career in Dallas? How can we legitimately say that? Because if you look at Dak Prescott's numbers over the last 4 years, right? Last season, he threw for 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Yes, he did have a lot of big-time interceptions in last year that could potentially cost him some games, right? But he only had 9 interceptions last season. 2022 was a down year for him. Still had 2,800 yards, 23 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. That's still more than a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL yardage-wise. 2021 comes back from the broken leg, right? That nasty broken leg. Did he get that against, was it the 49ers? I can't remember who he broke his leg against. Come back, 4,500 yards to 37 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. The year he did break his leg, I think it was week 4, right, when he broke his leg. Damn near 2,000 yards, 9 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. The previous year, 2019, almost 5,000 yards. He had 4,900 yards, 30 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. When Dak is able to be Dak, he puts up good numbers and he leads the Cowboys to a lot of wins. Guys, there is no way this is Dak Prescott's final year in Dallas. He is going to take a hometown discount. He wants to play with CD. He wants to play with Micah. He wants to play with Zeke for another year. He loves the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys took a flyer on him in the 4th round, and he has performed. He has lived up to his 4th round ability, right? Air quotes there. And he's projected himself into a top 5 quarterback. But let's say, in theory, the Dallas Cowboys decide to move on from Dak Prescott. In theory, Dak has another 2,500 yard season, which he has never had besides the year that he broke his leg. Let's just say he has a bad year. 2,500 yards, 20 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Worst season of his career by far. Who is going to come down to Dallas that would be a free agent next season that would put up those type of numbers on a Dallas Cowboys team? Would it be Matthew Stafford? Potentially, if he was 5 years younger. Is it a Jared Goff? No, because he just signed a hell of a deal in Detroit. He's not going anywhere soon. Is it Aaron Rodgers? Probably not. Aaron Rodgers is to be determined, right? Tua could potentially put up those numbers, I guess, but are you going to take a flyer on a guy like Tua that has had one healthy season? Okay, draft. Let's look at the top draft quarterbacks ranking coming out of the college football into 2025. Shedeur Sanders ranked number 2. Are you going to bank your talent that you have with CD and Micah and the rest of that team on Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback that is a one-read guy? Wasn't that the dogging of Justin Fields when he came out? He can only hit the open guy. He has one read and then he scrambles. Watch Shedeur Sanders. That's what he does. He is terrible at reading. Carson Beck from Georgia. He is your typical pocket guy. He's 6'5", 220 pounds, runs a 5-yard, 40-yard dash. He's your big pocket quarterback. Do the Cowboys want a big pocket quarterback? I don't think so. I mean, maybe they should want that big pocket quarterback, hand the ball off to Zeke, hand the ball off to Deuce Vaughn. Big, powerful arm push downfield, maybe. But he isn't going to be where the Dallas Cowboys are going to be picking, so the Cowboys would have to move up in the draft to get him. Therefore, probably give a first-round pick this year, first-round pick next year, kind of like what the Panthers did to the Bears, right? Hey, we'll give you 2 first-round picks for your quarterback. Guys, Dak Prescott's not going anywhere. If you guys truly think Dak Prescott's going anywhere, I think we have another thing coming. John says Dak Prescott is a bum. Why is he a bum? Because he beat the Detroit Lions last season. John says Matthew Stafford. First of all, let me look up Matthew Stafford's age. I think he's pushing 36 right now. Rams. Go to NFLtoday.co, my beautiful website that I built. Guys, check it out. Matthew Stafford is 36 years old. I think Matthew Stafford's done after this season because right now he's talking about more guaranteed money. He is upset with the Rams because of his contract. He wants some more guaranteed money. I think if Matthew Stafford comes to Dallas, he's going to be playing on veteran minimum. Veteran minimum. I could be wrong. But I also said last year I think Matthew Stafford to Dallas would make sense. This is when the Dallas Cowboys were kind of struggling a little bit. Would make sense. Gardner Minshew is much better than Dak, says Jim. He is for about 3 games, and then Gardner Minshew jets. Then Gardner Minshew's, right? Minshew is a good stop-back quarterback. He's a good backup quarterback. If Dak Prescott were to go down, Gardner Minshew can come in for 3 or 4 games, hold the load, right? Win 3, maybe win 4 out of 4, and then after that, he is shit. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick. Good in Tampa Bay for about 3 or 4 games. Good in Miami for 3 or 4 games after that. He's shit. John People says, no, he's the best at choking in the playoffs. Says all Dak does is choke in the playoffs. No. All Dak does is put up numbers in the playoffs. Dak Prescott was not the reason why the Dallas Cowboys got blown out by the Green Bay Packers last season in the playoffs. 41 completions, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Dak Prescott's not the reason why the Cowboys lost that game. The reason why the Cowboys lost that game to the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs last season is because of Dan Quinn is a terrible big game coach. When there's no pressure on, Dan Quinn might be the GOAT of all GOATs. Just like Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins on a 1 o'clock game, give that man's money. Put him at 4 o'clock Monday night, Sunday night. Has that man won a game? Has that man won a primetime game yet? Dak Prescott's not the reason why the Cowboys struggled last year in the playoffs. Period. Plain and simple, can't win the big game. Period, says John. Plain and simple, cannot win the big game. He can't. This year, the Dallas Cowboys will prove that when the big games come, when they play the 49ers, when they play the Eagles, when they play all of the NFC North teams, they're going to battle all of those games, and they're going to pull some of them out. And the biggest of the biggest games comes week 6, 7, when they play the Detroit Lions in the eligible rematch. That's going to be a big game. That's going to be a big must-see TV game. And Dak and the boys are going to flex on them. Jim says the only thing that will save the boys in last place is Philly doesn't have Kelsey. So, Jim, if I am understanding you correctly, you have Philadelphia in 4th place, Dallas Cowboys in 3rd place, Giants in 2nd place, and the Commanders in 1st place. Somebody get this man a beer. It's Friday afternoon, baby. Baker Mayfield to the Cowboys. I would love that. But didn't Baker just sign a 4-year deal? 3 or 4-year deal? Baker's not going anywhere anytime soon. John says Dak is not a top 5 quarterback. Not saying Stafford is going to Dallas, just saying Stafford is better. Last season, I would say Matthew Stafford is better. Going into 2024, I have to put Dak on top of Stafford. I am worried about Stafford's health, to be honest. Jim says Garner has never fit anywhere like he does in Vegas. He fit pretty well in Jacksonville, I guess. I don't know. We'll see once what we got. 3 weeks until first preseason game. We'll figure it out. Micah is not a run stopper. Run at him and get your yards. Exactly. That is the biggest downfall of the Dallas Cowboys defense is run stopping ability. And how do you defeat Micah Parsons is you run right at him. That's how the Buffalo Bills beat him. That is how the 49ers beat them last season. They ran right at Micah Parsons. And that's why early in the season, I think they're going to go up and down, because the teams that they play early, like the Ravens, like the 49ers, who else do they play early? They play the Browns early, right? Come on, load up. So they play the Browns early, they play the Ravens early, they play the Steelers early, they play the 49ers early, right? All games that I have them losing because they feel like they're going to run right at Micah. Now, after that 49ers game, they're probably going to make some changes. They're going to bring in John said maybe Matthew Judon. I love it. Matthew Judon from the Patriots. Bring him down, right? They're going to add somebody on the front 7 to really solidify that run stopping ability, and they'll be all right. Stafford has won a Super Bowl. Has he won a Super Bowl? Yeah, he did with the Rams, didn't he? He did. He did win a Super Bowl. You are correct on that, sir. You are correct. Final year of Dak Prescott for the Dallas Cowboys? Nah. Philadelphia Eagles. One of their biggest question marks is their secondary. This is their secondary. John, I believe it was you, said they just signed Mitchell this off season. They still have Darius Slay over there. Where are my notes at? They drafted Cooper Jean, right? James Bradbury. Going into his 3rd year with the Philadelphia Eagles. And right now he's slated to be a backup. He is also slated to make about $5 million this season. So we got to ask the question. And they also brought back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That is correct. We got to ask the question. Is there no more room for a player like James Bradbury on the Philadelphia Eagles? Obviously, James Bradbury is potentially one of the reasons why they lost that Super Bowl for the Kansas City Chiefs a couple years ago. Also, James Bradbury is one of the reasons why they made it to that Super Bowl. James Bradbury, if you guys really sit down and watch him, he is a really good talent. He is a really good talent, not because of his lockdown ability. Just he's just a all around good player. He can fill in where he's needed, and he just does his job. You don't have to worry about him getting beat over the top. You don't have to worry about getting beat on the outside. He just comes in and does his job. Philadelphia Eagles is his third stop. He's been with the Panthers, Giants, and now with the Eagles. With that being said, with all the names that they did bring in, drafted Cooper DeJean, brought in Mitchell, Darius Slay, brought back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You cannot have a $5 million cornerback sitting on the bench. You cannot have a player making that type of money be sitting on the bench. And I misspoke. That's a $5 million cap hit if you were to get released. So he's making more money than that. Guys, James Bradberry is not a Philadelphia Eagle once week 1 starts. James Bradberry is going to find himself on some other team. Whether it's the Kansas City Chiefs, whether it's a team like the Jaguars that need some defensive help, whether it's team, maybe he goes back to his old team, the Giants. Giants need some secondary help. But I can answer this question. James Bradberry will not be a week 1 player on the Philadelphia Eagles. He is fighting for his camp life all offseason, all mini camp, all OTAs, all preseason games coming up. James Bradberry is going to be a camp casualty, and he's going to be picked up by somebody. He's probably going to do good work on somebody's team, but unfortunately, there is no room from James Bradberry on the Philadelphia Eagles this season. John thinks he'll be moved by week 8. I think he'll be moved well before that. I think the Philadelphia Eagles have some holes to fill, and they're going to use one of their camp casualties, a.k.a. James Bradberry, to fill some of that help. Where, you might ask? I think they're going to add another offensive lineman. I think they're going to add some more offensive line depth and really solidify that aging offensive line with some younger help. So I think that's what they'll ultimately do. Week number 4. Topic number 4. We talked about the Commanders yesterday. I talked about the Commanders potentially having a 8-win season. Have been going 8-9 this year. The Commanders do have a fairly tough schedule this season. Playing the AFC North in general for everybody in the NFC East is going to be tough. Browns are good. Steelers are good. Ravens are great. Bengals are good. But the Commanders also play teams like the Buccaneers. They play teams like the Chicago Bears. They play teams like the Cowboys twice. They play teams like the Eagles twice, right? So we spoke to Michael. He had the Commanders around 7 wins. I have them around 8 wins. I could potentially see 9 wins. Jim right here says the Commanders will surprise some folks. John says 8-9 possible playoff push. We are speaking about the Commanders like they've been there, they've done that, like they haven't been a dumpster fire the last couple seasons. Guys, is there too much pressure on Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders going into the 2024 NFL season? Is there too much pressure on him? Is there too much pressure to push the ball down the field with Scary Terry? Is there too much pressure to hit Austin Eckler in the flats? Is it too much pressure to let Brian Robinson kind of run downhill all the time? Guys, the Washington Commanders are probably one of the dark horses in the NFC. As I do have them as an 8-win team, I could easily see 9 or possibly 10. Just like what John said here, possibly a playoff push. Hell, Jim Powell says they might even win the East. Is there too much pressure on the Washington Commanders right now? And listening to national media, NFL Channel, ESPN, CBS, Fox Sports, right, all that stuff, watching other shows like the Locked On the Commanders, There's some other Washington shows that I've watched from time to time. Most of these people are writing off this season. Most of these people that are paid to speak on the Washington Commanders are saying, expect 4 wins, expect 3 wins. 5 is their top, 6 is their top. So too much pressure? I don't think there's any pressure on the Commanders. I don't think there's any pressure on the Washington Commanders at all this season, and that is what's going to give them ability to win 8, 9, potentially 10 games, potentially make a playoff push. However, this hurts them in the long run. This hurts them in the long run because of the early success that they have in their rebuild mode. Why are the New York Giants so bad right now? Because of Brian Daboll's first year success, making the playoffs, beating the Minnesota Vikings that first season. They're like, oh, maybe our team isn't so bad. Maybe Brian Daboll was the answer. If the Commanders had that same success like the Giants did Brian Daboll's first year, it's going to hurt them in the end. It's going to prolong the building of the future. Because Michael said they have 40-plus players on expiring contracts at the end of this season. They're going to want to bring back some of those old heads. Deontay Flower, Armstrong, Bobby Wagner, right? Derek Forrest. They're going to want to bring back some of those old heads. Say, hey, we had success. Why not have success the next year's, right? And it's going to come back and it's going to hurt them. So as they don't have any pressure on them this season, no pressure at all, they're going to succeed 7, 8, 9, potentially 10 wins, potentially a playoff push. It's going to hurt them in the end. So if you are a Washington fan, I know very few Washington fans, put pressure on your team. Put pressure on your team so they feel it. So maybe, just maybe, they're only a 5-win team this season. Maybe they're only a 6-win team this season. If you fail now, you'll be more successful in the years to come. If you're successful now, look for another longer drought for the Washington Commanders. John says, of course there's a lot of pressure on Daniels. I think they pushed through a bunch of games surprising some teams as well. This is the biggest problem with the Washington Commanders is their head coach of Dan Quinn. I don't have any faith in Dan Quinn at all. He was an excellent defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys when it was loosey-goosey. When the defense was terrible, he came in, he righted the ship, and they did well on games that they're supposed to win. On games like, he shits the bed. This year, Dan Quinn could have a lot of success. The Washington Commanders could have a lot of success with the new offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury, right? Dan Quinn, new ownership, no pressure. They could win a lot of games. It's going to hurt them in the end. Jim Powell says they can only go up. They are and have been as down as it gets. Yes. Actually, if you think about it, Jim, just a couple years ago, Taylor Heinicke led them to the playoffs. This was the year that Tampa Bay and Tom Brady won the Super Bowl. Taylor Heinicke almost beat them. What year is that? Was that 2021? Was that 21? No, it had to have been 19, right? 19. Had to have been 19. No, what year was that? Was it 22? I can't even remember now. Shit's so running together. It's tough getting old. Oh, 2020 season. Yes. The 2020 season. They were 7-9. Made that playoff berth. Wasn't the 2019 season the year that every NFC East team had a losing record? Washington sneaks into the playoffs and battles the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-23. lost the wild card game, but Taylor Heinicke almost came through and beat Tom Brady like in the boys. I believe he separated his shoulder or tore a rotator cuff like that game, diving into the end zone. It's actually on the intro, one of the videos. So really, they haven't had a winning season, yes, but they've had playoffs. They've had 7-win seasons. They've had 8-win seasons. They've had 9-win seasons. Last year, 2022, they finished 8-8. 21, they had 7 wins. Obviously, last year was a little down there, 4-13, but they haven't been down for too long. James Shablin, what's up, James? He says Daniels needs to sit 100% of the 2024 NFL season. Get some good free agents, draft picks in 2025. So when we first started doing Man Hour 2 years ago, 3 years ago, myself, Beastie, and we had his boy Soup Boss on. I think Wayne G was a part of this discussion as well. And me and Combs were firm believers of sit rookie quarterbacks. First year in the league, sit them. Let them learn. Let them do this, and this, right? And then Soup Boss and Wayne G's bring some stats into the mix saying, you know what? Rookie quarterbacks that sit have the same numbers, the same outing, whatever, as second-year quarterbacks that have sit their first year. So what is the benefit of sitting Jayden Daniels this season? What is the benefit of it? You lose another year with Scary Terry. You lose a year with Austin Eckler. You lose learning with Zach Ertz, right? There's a reason why they brought in Zach Ertz, and that's not to catch the ball. It's to basically mentor young players. Ben Stennett, my man from Kansas State, is going to be a dog. But I don't see any benefit of sitting Jayden Daniels this season. Let him get wet behind the ears. Let him do some work. And James says tanking for picks. Tank for picks. Nobody in next year's draft right now jumps off at me saying, we need this guy. And really the pieces that are missing in Washington is late first round, late second round draft picks, i.e. offensive linemen. Yes, sometimes there is an offensive lineman that goes in the top 10, top 15, right? But really, they need some offensive linemen. They brought in Nick. Oh, I don't even know the guy's last name. The offensive lineman from Kansas City. They brought him in. Granted, he's like 29 years old, but he is injury prone. They need a good offensive line, and that's where you get 15, 17, 18 pick there. And if they want to next year, if they are top 10 pick, probably going to want to trade out of that pick to get extra picks to draft more linemen. So tanking for picks doesn't really make sense, and tanking in the NFL is the hardest thing to do. Trying to lose a football game is even probably trying harder to win a football game. Let's just be honest. But those are some burning questions that I had asked for this week, guys, for the NFC East. Is this Dak Prescott's final year? Do the New York Football Giants have enough firepower? Is James Bradberry out of Philly? Too much pressure on the Commanders. No pressure on the Commanders. James Bradberry is out. Giants do not have enough firepower. They have no running game whatsoever. Sorry, Devin Singletary, not to burst your bubble. And this is not Dak's final year in Dallas. Let me know what you guys think of those questions. Answer them. But we'll be back. NFC North next week, guys. Monday, starting with the Green Bay Packers and work on our way around the NFC North with the Lions, Vikings, and Bears. Oh my. We'll have my man Beastie and Ryan Fitz on. We're going to get Luke G on as well. We got Matt Green Bay Bauman join us as well. But until next time, see you guys Monday, 2:30 East Coast time. We out.